Hi guys, my applied project, I decided to spend a day dressed as a man. This is my post-experience video diary. I will warn you right now that I'm going to talk a lot with my hands, and I hope you enjoy. The reason this project was so important to me is because lately, well, I suppose from the time I was little, I hated that I could only be a girl. I was only allowed to be a girl. Which parts of which I very much enjoyed when I was little. I enjoyed the attention I got wearing frilly dresses and having cute curly hair and whatever. But I also hated that I couldn't also be a boy. That I couldn't do certain things that boys did. I wasn't like, that wasn't okay. And I really hated that I couldn't be both. When I was 8 years old, my favorite movie was To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, which is about 3 drag queens who are crossing the country to a nationals competition. I loved that movie for years and years and years. Made my parents rent it like every time. I was 8. Should have been a red flag. So I've always had a problem with sort of gender, so this project was a way for me to explore it. When I was a freshman in college at UNM, I was in a gender studies class, and we read an excerpt from My Gender Workbook by Kate Warrenstein, and that book is it's been very important because the whole premise of the book is that gender is not necessarily something that's set in stone, and that you can really look closer at it and sort of understand it more. And so this project was a way for me to push myself, because lately I've been feeling less and less comfortable with sort of feeling or trying to be feminine, because I don't feel comfortable. And so in doing more research, sort of looking at it and saying, would I feel more comfortable as a man? Would I feel more comfortable if I went to that extreme? And so this project, I was really afraid in undertaking it, because I was saying, what if I do like this? What does that mean for me? Incidentally, I discovered that physical presentation is it's only a very small part of gender. I mean, for some people it's a really big thing, but for me it's much less a part than sort of you would expect it to be, that I expected it to be. Looking at what it feels like to sort of try and exist in the mindset of a man, like try and understand. And before this I was doing a lot of thinking about gender and gender theory and saying, well, what really is a man? Because it's really hard to come up with a definition that doesn't exclude people. So, is it someone who's masculine? There's people with masculine traits that aren't necessarily men. It's really tricky, and sort of looking at it and saying, what is it? Is it the physical attributes that make someone a man? Sort of looking at gender and presentation and saying, how much of my gender is the presentation? When I decided to do this, I decided to say, screw it, we're going to go the whole 9 yards. Binding, packing, facial hair, everything. So binding was absolutely excruciating. Had 2 rolls of 6-inch ace bandage around my chest, and then I had a back brace. A lot of the people on the internet were saying, if you have larger breasts, then you might want to try using a back brace, because that tends to sort of compress it more. Incidentally, I could only get them compressed so far because I'm a rather curvy woman, have massive tits. So that was how binding went. I was binding. I stayed in it for about probably 4 hours before the pain in my back and my ribs, like my chest area, was just so excruciating. Couldn't breathe. I was driving at the time, and I had to pull over and literally just take off the binding. And my back still hurts. So there was that, and then with packing, really expensive, but I decided to try it anyway. It makes you walk really awkward. And then facial hair was a lot of work. You get baby doll hair, again, internet. You get hair and you cut it up really, really fine, and then you use liquid bandage to apply it to your face. And aside from, you know, the weird feeling of packing and the itchiness of the facial hair and the pain associated with binding, sort of presenting a more masculine, you know, trying to present as a man was really interesting for me, because I noticed there wasn't really a difference for me. As far as people reacting, I didn't really notice anyone caring at all. It was sort of very, okay. I did go to a coffee shop, and I asked, when I was ordering, I looked up, and the barista just had the widest eyes in the world, and it was sort of a look described by Eddie Izzard, who is a transvestite comedian from Britain, and he describes going up to people and asking, you know, going up to vendors and asking for something, and they just have this look on their face that says, no information on this, no previous experience in this area, no information on this. And this was the first time I'd ever seen that look, and I realized that, holy crap, that we as a society love that physical presentation, because it gives us something to sort of identify and categorize people as. We like boxes, and sort of once you start pushing those boxes, it's really, some people get genuinely afraid, which was really weird to me. Well, it wasn't weird so much as having it directed at me was weird, because I'm so used to having large breasts means I'm instantaneously recognized as a woman. So, you know, binding them down to what was probably would have been about a B, which with my tummy, because I'm kind of chubby, meant that there was sort of hard to tell, really threw people off.